Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Gateway. And this is a new crime thriller from Michele, Civetta, and this film focuses on a social worker played by Shea Whigman, who intervenes in the life of a single mother played by Olivia Munn when her husband gets out of prison and then draws her family back into crime. And I think the thing that I appreciate most about this film is Shea Whigman getting a chance to actually be a lead in a film, because you see him pop up in small kinds of roles a lot of the time, and sometimes having a bit more sizable supporting roles. He's popped up in a few David O. Russell films, especially as the older brother in Silver Linings Playbook. And he's a talented actor, and he shows it in this film, and he's a really strong lead here. And this character has a lot of baggage. He was a foster child. He has a strained relationship with his biological father, Bruce Dern. And Bruce Dern is in this a lot more than I was expecting him to be, and it was a welcome surprise because he still got it. Just crotchety old Bruce Dern. And they have an interesting dynamic. Here's the thing, this film has a lot going on here, and there's a lot of characters, and not all of them feel as fleshed out or interesting, and the subplots don't always click or feel as necessary. Because, you have the husband here who gets out of prison, and played by Zach Avery, and is connected to Frank Grillo. Did Frank Grillo really need to be in this movie? Not necessarily. It felt like an extra layer. It tried to bring in dirty cops and him just doing his Frank Grillo thing, and nothing special into the film. It brings in the conversation about Vietnam, which connects back to Bruce Dern, who was a Vietnam vet that caused a lot of his issues with his family. And it's they're trying to hit a lot of things here, which I do appreciate them adding depth and taking time in a thriller like this to really flesh out characters and motivations and perspectives. Not all of it works, but some of it does hit, and it adds a layer of emotion and connection to these characters that many of these films you don't get, or they're just kind of thrown in there to be oh, they have some depth, they have some backstory. This film spends a decent amount of time trying to flesh those things out, even if not all of it works or is fleshed out enough for us to care that much. And for an hour and 30-minute film, there's definitely some padding here, but you have other things where it's Parker, Shea Whigman's character, sees his younger self, and he's trying to learn and grow through that connection. The cinematography here is very stylized. The lighting, the shading of the colors, it has a very specific look to it. It gives it this gritty look, and the grittiness fits well with the story. Was it particularly necessary? No, but it makes it stand out a bit. And, you have Olivia Munn in this film, and her character a lot of the times is damsel in distress, broken woman, beaten woman. But she does get some moments where she gets to actually act for herself and stand up. And even if they're really late in the game here, Tegan Burns plays the daughter, Ashley, who's really cute. She doesn't have a whole lot to do besides being cute, so she does a fine job. And it's interesting because you have so many other named actors. You have Taryn Manning from Orange is the New Black, who's just this woman at the bar that Shea Whigman's character Parker goes to, and including Mark Boone Jr., who's the bartender, the guy that runs the place there. And Parker and him have an interesting relationship, and you have Keith David, who pops up for a scene at a casino, just randomly just happens to be there, and is basically used to flesh out Parker's backstory. And it's did that really need to be there? I'm not going to say no to Keith David, because he's great. But there's a lot going on in this film. Also, a lot of the narrative beats are very familiar. You get a sense, for the most part, beat to beat, where this film is going. And the antagonists are pretty paper thin. They're just stereotypical, we're bad guys. And the husband is I'm a scumbag husband and should have stayed in prison kind of thing, and I'm going to beat my wife. And it's just there's just that. there's so much other things going on in this film that kind of just felt like the antagonists were like, well, we'll just use these cookie cutter characters and go with it. And it works for the most part in the context of the story because they're not really the focus. But in the end, I feel like The Gateway is a solid crime thriller that's really elevated from strong acting from Shea Whigham and taking some time to actually try to flesh out its characters. You could do that in thrillers and action movies. You probably should. But those are my thoughts on The Gateway. Let me know what you think. Let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.